After careful consideration, I've decided to endorse this park. I saw this twice this weekend. Just based off of the fact that I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan alone. I mean, this movie was better than I possibly could have hoped for. When you think about it. Because, okay, the first Jurassic Park is amazing, and the other two are pretty mediocre. Like, I hate 2 with a burning passion. 3 is mindless entertainment. And then this one is a nice monster movie with a lot of nostalgia peppered in. And, yeah, let's talk about this one. So I'm just going to talk about the basic premise of the film. You know, years after the original Jurassic Park never opened, we have Jurassic World that is able, that opens to the world. And it's successful, pretty reasonably successful. But every couple years they gotta update things, park, add a new attraction, put something here, put something there, all that nonsense, right? You got like a SeaWorld style attraction. You have like the these canoes. You have like these gyrospheres that go around with like the dinosaurs, like dinosaur petting zoos. Like the visitor center is much more complicated now. There's like games for kids, so it's become like a fully functioning park, which is amazing when you think about it. And now they made a genetically modified dinosaur, the Indominus Rex, who escapes from her pen and causes havoc throughout the park. It's up to Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard and friends to save the day. So let's talk about, I want to talk about the negative stuff so I can get that out of the way. The older brother's character arc was kind of, like, there's 2 kids in the movie. There's the Ty Simpkins kid who was from Iron Man 3, and he's a really good child actor. The other guy was good too. It's just, like, I feel like his arc was, like, a little muddled in there. But at the end of the day, he was kind of, I didn't really care for his character in the beginning, but he was a functional character, and I didn't hate him at the end of the movie. So there's that. The divorce subplot with their parents goes nowhere. Like, what is it with Jurassic Park movies and divorce plots? The first one, the 2 kids, their parents are getting a divorce. Jeff Goldblum in the second one had a bunch of divorces, you know, and breakups and nonsense. In the third movie, the 2 parents had a divorce and they try to get Alan Grant to save their kid. This one, parents have a divorce, so they send their kids off to Jurassic World, like, for Christmas break. You know, just to get them happy and their minds off of this nonsense. So that happened. Vincent D'Onofrio, while he does play the role well, his villain's kind of one note, but to be fair, a lot of the Jurassic Park franchise, the villains have not been, well, they just haven't been exactly the most complicated villains ever, to be fair. Irfan Khan, yeah, I can never pronounce his name, I guess, but he sometimes feels inconsistent. You know, sometimes he's comedic relief, sometimes he's stern. The character trait I liked from him the most was like his John Hammond sense of wonder and awe, where he's just kind of like, he was talking to Bryce Dallas Howard. Bryce Dallas Howard's character, very straightforward, like, you know, organized woman who wants to make sure everything's under control. She's like, well, you know, everything's good, attendance up by like 2.5%, and he's just like, no, are the people happy in the park? And I was just like, well, that's awesome. He's not like a generic corporate guy, you know, and he's very much in the vein of John Hammond, where like John Hammond's dying wish, and yes, John Hammond is dead in this movie, also because, you know, Richard Attenborough sadly passed away, but, you know, he's very much in that vein of John Hammond, where he's just like, I want to show the world these great things, it's so cool. You know, but he's also has like a thing where he's trying to get his like helicopter license or whatever, so there's that. Any other character things that I had problems with? Not really. The opening of the film is a little but to be fair, I think the film moves along at a pretty decent pace. Like, I was never really like I was never bored, but I was like, in the opening of the movie, I'm like, okay, the divorce thing goes nowhere, and like the opening, there's like an egg hatch. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of like ominous in a sense, but it's not as good as the opening scene of the original film. But then again, not many things are. And finally, not as many practical effects as I would have liked. Now, Jurassic Park was great because, like, in the 90s, there was a lot of great movies that were a nice blend of practical and digital effects. This movie is almost all digital for a lot of its effects, which a lot of them do look great, especially the Velociraptors. The Velociraptors look excellent in this movie, as they usually do. But sometimes I feel in certain shots the Indominus Rex looked a little too sleek, but there were shots of the Indominus Rex where, like, he's in shadow and he's just kind of looking up and things, and he's like this hunter-predator type thing. The Indominus Rex is like the, like I said in the beginning, like the main adversary dinosaur. He's like hunting down, he's a killing machine. Although I will say, in terms of appearance, I've always kind of felt the Spinosaurus was a bit more intimidating than the Indominus Rex in terms of just appearance. I mean, Indominus Rex is probably bigger and badder in a lot of other ways, but I feel the Spinosaurus, because of its coloring and the way, like, it, you know, moved and the way it roared and all that stuff, it was a killing machine. And I was genuinely more terrified of that. But then again, you know, the Indominus Rex, not to take away from that, because that thing is terrifying, because it's a bunch of different animals combined into one, and it's super intelligent. So that was left, you know, suspenseful, some suspenseful scenes. Not much else I can really talk about with this movie, so, you know, yeah, those were my biggest issues. But let's talk about the good stuff. Chris Pratt proves to me, in my opinion, without a shadow of a doubt, that he can play Indiana Jones. Because in a lot of his other roles, it's like he's funny and can be in an action movie, but I didn't necessarily see him as Indiana Jones until this movie. You know, he's a bit more serious, and I know some people are complaining about that, but I actually kind of dig it. It's a different guy from him just being Star-Lord, or his character in Parks and Rec, or his character in the movie Her, which he's great in all those, but it was nice to see him, like, you know, not really a challenge, but like kind of differentiate himself from those performances, where he's kind of like a combination like the Robert Muldoon character from the first movie, you know, the Raptor guy who was like, shoot! Ah! You know, he was kind of like that dude in a weird way, but a bit more, bit friendlier. So he was that was cool, and there was a lot of some nice like jokes and moments, like you've heard some of them in the trailers, where he's just like, well, dinosaurs are wow enough, you know. I would think dinosaurs are wow enough too, but like in the plot of the movie, it's almost kind of like a meta-narrative commenting on the fact that, okay, Jurassic Park was cool back in the 90s, but nobody gives a hoot about dinosaurs anymore. You want like giant superheroes and transformers flinging all over the place and explosions, so that's why you have to make this like Franken dinosaur to appease people. And that's kind of like Jurassic World, where it has to be a bigger action thing than any of the other ones have thus far. Which is not a bad thing, it's just kind of funny to think about it. So Chris Pratt's fine. Bryce Dallas Howard, now I've read some reviews that compared her to Willie Scott from Temple of Doom. No. The Willie Scott of the Jurassic Park franchise already happened in Jurassic Park 3, okay? Let's get that out of the way, right? And I think a lot of the reason why people are criticizing this character is because of Furiosa from Mad Max. She's such an amazing female character, Charlize Theron, that it's like hard to go up against anything else with a female character. And I think, honestly, she's not bad. She does take action. My biggest problem with her is that she wears high heels throughout the entire movie, and she's able to outrun dinosaurs. Like, that's kind of silly, you know? That she's able to outrun, like, the Indominus Rex and all these other monsters. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. But she's not bad, you know. She's not bad. She's kind of, it's weird, because she's got a combination. She's kind of like the lawyer from the first movie, combined with, like, she wears white like John Hammond, so that's interesting. And she's kind of like Sam Neill's character, Alan Grant, in the first movie, because he has an arc where she's like, I don't like kids. And now at the end of the movie, she's like, yeah, I like kids. It's not really much of a spoiler. It's just kind of, you know, kind of what it is. Yeah, because she's like the aunt to the kids, and like, you know, she's taking them in, but she's so busy, she's so occupied with work that she doesn't really spend much time with them. So that happens. There's other stuff in this movie that I really like too. Like the music, and one more bad thing I forgot to say, I know I'm just going off of memory here. The one more bad thing is, like, there's some musical placements that are just kind of terrible. Like, the music was fine in the movie overall. But the Jurassic Park theme was used for buildings. Like, what I mean is, like, the big, grand, sweeping shot is of Jurassic World and, like, the buildings in the park, which look cool, but it's not as cool as like a bunch of dinosaurs running around. I'm sorry. Other great things. I felt the pacing and the action was great. I mean, yeah, sure, you gotta like cut away and like do shaky things so that way little kids don't completely see. But I'm surprised with all the stuff we actually did see in the movie. It's quite bloody in certain instances, you know. And yeah, there was like one little like twisty surprise that I was glad they put in there, because there was a certain element in the trailers where people are like, oh, come on, that is so silly. I mean, you can't have those guys do that. That takes away from their things in the original films. And it's like, no, they still very much, they do something that will surprise you. I'm not going to say what. This, you know, like I said, some of the special effects are great. There's like an animatronic Apatosaurus, or Brontosaurus, if you will, in the movie that is a really nice, it's almost like a Triceratops scene in the movie. You might have seen it in the trailers. Like, there's a lot of Easter eggs to the original, and some people might feel overwhelmed, but I didn't feel like I was getting beaten over the head. Like, there were like people like had copies of books written by certain characters, or like somebody wearing an old Jurassic Park t-shirt, and they even go to certain places and things in the story, and it was great to see those things, and see them address those things and address the original film in a lot of ways. So that was perfect. And then the third act fight was amazing. Like, it was my childhood on steroids. It was just incredible just to watch. And the raptors, of course, are amazing. I mean, there's like 4 raptors, and they're kind of like, it's like a buddy thing with like Chris Pratt, where they have like a relationship and they do cool things. That's not really much else to say. It's really action-packed. I liked Chris Pratt. I didn't hate Bryce Dallas Howard as much as I thought I would. I liked the kids to a degree. Vincent D'Onofrio was fun but cheesy. Irfan Khan is inconsistent, but I like his character. Also, one more character, Jake Johnson, who's in the movie. He was also in Colin Trevorrow's Safety Not Guaranteed, and he also plays a nice comedic role in this movie. And I liked his character quite a bit. And like I said, you get to see things that you never got to see in the old Jurassic Park movies, like a fully functioning park. You get to see different attractions go off and all that other stuff. There's more mayhem than anything else. Like, there's one death in particular that is like so excessive, but it was glorious in a sense. So I will say it does have its issues, but hot damn, if you want like a fun 2 hours that isn't Mad Max Fury Road, because maybe you've already seen it, then check out Jurassic World. It personally did not disappoint me, because I was cautiously optimistic about the movie, because I'm a Jurassic Park fan, but some of the trailers, I'm like, they keep showing the same clips. I'm a little worried, but no, that's not even what, like, more happens in the movie is what I'm trying to say here. It's crazy. There's like this certain twist that happens that I was genuinely surprised that they actually pulled off. The visual effects for the most part are pretty great. Chris Pratt is great. A lot of people are very good in the movie, just some of their characters might be a little one-note or inconsistent. And to be fair, that's not as bad as Lost World or Jurassic Park 3, where I was thrashing those movies basically in my retrospective video. So check out Jurassic World. I know I'm going to check it out probably for a third time. I'm going to try to see it in IMAX, you know, one of these days. But I saw it twice. I've seen it twice so far, and it was so much fun. One more note, whatchamacallit, like, there's this, I made this huge mistake in my Lost World review, where I called Gennaro the Hammond's nephew Gennaro, even though Gennaro's the lawyer in the first movie. I apologize for that. The dude's name still escapes me. I know the dude's name, but I don't care enough to say it on camera. And to be fair, who the hell remembers the Lost World Jurassic Park? I know some of you like it, and I understand that, but it just doesn't appeal to me. But the guy's name is not Gennaro, so my Gennaro generic joke does not apply, even though he's still a generic villain. So I apologize to you guys out there for making that error. That's all I wanted to say. Watch Jurassic World. Next week I'll have this thing for Silent Film Saturday. Peace.